Okay.
Here we are.
So despite coming off the giant L last week, you're still representing your home team. Did you pour a little bit about that for the Niners this season?
It was a tough loss.
Yeah.
Not much you could do in that scenario.
You're not going to win a lot of games with like your fourth string.
Yeah. Well,
really, your fifth.
Hard to win a Super Bowl when you go through 4 quarterbacks in a year.
Yes, it is.
Difficult, but it's a great team with a great surrounding cast, and hopefully.
Let's calm down. This is not a Niner
We'll be able to make it back. I know most of you out there are Niner fans, so we appreciate you.
Okay. Well, moving on. I'm not going to take
the greatest quarterback to ever play the game.
I'm not even going to try to segue out of this. I'm just going to go straight cut off. Let's talk about whiskey before I start to puke. Well, welcome and happy February to our Fox and Pheasant members. We are very excited to be with you early this February. We are smack dab on day like 4 or 5 of the month, and we're going to head and get this in the can and into bottles and out to you. So
there will not be back-to-back videos this year or this month.
No, you will see us in a change of clothes.
That's right.
So
something new.
Yeah, or a different tracksuit.
Maybe. I got a rep.
You got a rep? Is that what you said? Yeah. So we decided to kind of explore something that to us has kind of a cool memory. Yeah. Also, it's a pour from a state that we've not poured from. Mm-hmm. So cool story there. And we'll talk about like what they're doing and where this whiskey plans on being another 10 years from now, and kind of our experience with it. So it's a delicious offering. I think that's where it starts. Is we had an amazing evening, kind of really diving into Widow Jane 10. By the way, that's what it is. This is your Widow Jane 10 out of Brooklyn, New York, or Red Hook, New York is where they actually distill it, and it is our first offering from the state of New York.
That's right.
It is currently sourced liquor. Yeah. So this is originally this was a single barrel offering. They were just really sourcing single barrels of at least 10 years old, and often from Kentucky early on. Okay. As they've grown, that's expanded. A couple different places: Tennessee, Indiana.
Those are like the 3 main ones. So you're probably actually getting tenure in Tennessee was probably more George Dickel.
Maybe some Dickel, maybe some NGP from Indiana. Who knows? But it's often, I'm always suspicious of the Bartons and the Heaven Hills and wherever people buy barrels from. But this is minimum age 10 years, and they now say it's a batch number, not a barrel number, because they will blend up to 5 barrels to kind of proof down with their secret recipe is that New York limestone water. Yeah. And so they use New York limestone water in the mines up there in Red Hook.
Red Hook.
Yep, and that is what they're cutting it with, and they're really talking about that being the backbone to what makes.
Although it's really a Kentucky bourbon secret.
Yeah, their own limestone.
It's the limestones limestone in Kentucky that always made Kentucky bourbon what it is.
Well, makes the water what it is,
Makes the water what it is, and so the fact that they have some aquifers and the limestone in New York was great for them to be able to parlay that into some good whiskey.
So we really had our first evening with Widow Jane. We've sipped it before, but not really like saying, hey, this is what we're going to have for the night.
We hadn't really gone out on a date, and but we took Widow Jane out one night.
Yes.
And it was delicious.
Yeah, so we ended up going down to see one of our best bands that we go to see, Lost Dog Street Band, and we saw them down in Morro Bay. Yeah. End up in this really cool, very small music venue. They had some good whiskeys, but not a ton of options. But they did have the Widow Jane, and the very eccentric, very excited to help us. I will say through some chemical stimulation, may not have slept that night.
Yeah.
But he was very into the fact that we were ordering Widow Jane. He knew nothing about it. Yeah. He tried it with us, and then he started feeding us it
all night
en masse, right, for the evening. So.
He was a bartender that was very good to us throughout a concert. When you're at a concert and there's long lines of people and you can just walk up and he automatically serves you and doesn't even look at anybody else in line.
And when he's pouring you two, he pours three,
and
and
he's
he has
pouring
one with
three,
us.
and he's having one with us.
So.
But
So
jet happens.
Yeah, hashtag. But the Widow Jane is, despite the fact that it was just a good memory, I remember that we kind of ordered it saying, hey, let's see if that's what we're going to go with tonight.
Yeah.
And we had the first pour, and we right away was just like, man, this is definitely vibing with what we like to drink.
Yeah.
It's full flavor. It's pretty round. It finishes pretty smoothly. While I don't mind higher proof things, I don't want something that makes me feel like I'm going to breathe fire afterwards, or like I can't, my mouth is flammable at that point. And this guy definitely does not take this.
Well, 10 years is a sweet spot for us. I think a lot of the whiskeys
eight plus years. I think the time in the barrel,
yeah.
the char on the barrel starts to kind of mellow things out. This is also cut down to basically 91 proof. It's 45.5%. Which again is that it gives you a lot of opportunity to let it open up. You're going to taste a lot of layers because nothing's going to be overpowering. The age is going to calm things down quite a bit, and it just makes it an enjoyable pour. This bottle has gone up a lot in price over the last several years. Used to be in that higher ballpark of when you first start buying bottles, and before the secondary market became insane, where all of a sudden a $300 bottle seems like a good deal. A $70 bottle or $75 bottle is like, man, what makes that bottle so much better?
I mean, it's not up like $20.
Yeah, it's now $90, or so. You might find it a little bit more than that at places, a little bit less than that at places, but that's kind of the common sweet spot for it now. But it is, worth it is a constantly migrating term. What was worth it 5 years ago is no longer worth it. Some things that now, because of the secondary market, I'll go like, that is worth it. I don't know. Depends on you and your profile, but I will say the fact that you can pretty much go to multiple grocery stores or your Total Wine and know that if this is your juice, you can go buy it today. Is becoming an increasingly difficult thing, and the older the year, the harder that becomes to do.
Yeah, you don't find a lot of 10 years in the stores anymore, just because they buy up very quickly.
Yeah, look what happened to your Eagle Rare now.
Oh my gosh.
Limit one, if you can find it.
Yeah.
For 2.5 times the original.
And now it's $40.
Yeah, $50.
Yeah. So.
Ooh, man, that just smells like pure cherry.
Yeah, this is pretty exciting. We've tried to cover some of the different states, and New York has been producing whiskeys for a while, but there hasn't been
in our country's history.
Well, yeah, but I mean, lately there hasn't really been anything that was like, oh my gosh, we got to have that. We need to try it.
Hudson Baby Bourbon, like that was a big brand for a while. It was definitely like an insider's, bartender's, hey, this is my pet little bourbon, right?
Yeah.
And they had multiple versions come up with that. There's a few others that are up there, and I'm sure if I was really familiar with Brooklyn and New York, just knowing the area, I'm sure there's some really great stuff being made up there.
Sure.
We're just not seeing it on the West Coast.
Yeah.
And I'm not reading a ton about specifically New York whiskeys, but Widow Jane is kind of available everywhere now. It should be. So let's get back to it again. Started in 2012, and like I mentioned before, they have a distillery, and they are truly trying to go grain to bottle kind of mentality, where all the grains are local. You're talking about a huge farming community an hour north of New York. Upstate is got tons of history, tons of farming, lots of wheat and grain that's being grown up there. So for them to be able to say we want to source everything locally, make our own juice, is cool, because it should be happening there.
Well, they were able to brand it and get it out there nationally, and so now they're making money, and they've got a name, and people trust it. So now they can double down.
Yeah, now they can be patient.
They can be
and of course they went from single barrel from Kentucky to mix of 5 barrels from multiple states, because they need that volume because they've gotten popular. But they're blending it really well. Look, if it is the secret, the limestone water out of New York is doing the trick of really rounding it out and giving it its profile on a consistent basis. But when they start being able to do everything locally from scratch there, they've been doing it and distilling, like you said, their minimum product is 10 years.
Well, it's not a secret because it's on the bottle.
Yeah, but what I mean,
the secret's out.
Yeah, but the minimum of 10 years
oh, yeah, for sure.
means that the stuff they're distilling has to, I mean, they just started in 2012, which means the very first juice that they ever made is just now getting old enough to make its minimum requirement. And they can't just get rid of all that in one go. So they're going to have to start cutting that in.
It's going to be really interesting to see what's produced over the next few years and what's going to be coming out of some of those barrels that they've been. I mean, 2012, now they've been around long enough that, you know, they've got 10-year barrels that they've aged.
So because of the fact, so this is bottle number 306 of batch 620. Both of these are for batch 620, bought them together. They no longer, it's an NAS, I'm not sorry, not in the years, but the mash bill is non-disclosed. So mainly because they're blending multiple things.
They can't.
So yeah, it's constantly changing. There is no constant mash bill. Again, something that once they start distilling their own product will most likely change.
True.
But
it was amazing. The vanilla, cherry,
dried cocoa, like a cocoa powder.
What that is?
There's a cocoa powder. Like if you're getting ready to make brownies from scratch, and you open up that cocoa powder.
It sat here for a minute while we were talking. Whereas the last video that we did, we had poured and it hadn't sat as long, but this sitting for a little while.
Yeah,
like really is bringing out some strong flavors.
I'm getting a lot of cocoa powder on the front of that. So
I'm getting a lot of vanilla, getting that cocoa powder.
Yeah,
and then it just feels like, I mean, it smells like a little twist of cherry.
Yeah, corn sweetness. You definitely get the vanilla. They mentioned there being like orange and cherry. I'm not getting again any orange. Maybe my nose is just
I'm not getting
citrus
either.
At all. But the cocoa powder is dominant for me. It tastes like, it smells like it's going to be dry.
It smells like a dessert.
Yeah.
It smells like a dessert I would like to eat.
So really good. Not surprisingly, again, for a 10-year, not a lot of oak. Mm-hmm. At least in the nose profile. Oh, by the way, you might hear it. I just heard something again out there. Apparently there's a giant like helicopter police raid of a neighborhood 2 neighborhoods away going on right now. So you just might hear some craziness, but we definitely heard it in the last video. So let's see what we got here.
Oh, wow. That is interesting that on my first taste, I don't know why I got some like, it was like a coconut or...
Little bit of a black pepper heat after you're kind of all done. Kind of like back of my throat, kind of black pepper. I'm trying to get, there's some weird stuff going on.
I'm actually getting a little bit of the orange now on the smell. It's kind of like an orange cream.
Mm-hmm. There is a creaminess to it. There's a middle, and again, because you never know, these are 5 barrels and then on to the next one, right? I can feel it where it coated my tongue.
Yeah.
I will almost say there's a soapiness, and somehow not in a bad way. I know that sounds possibly gross, but as I talk after I've kind of finished my taste, there is a medicinal, lotiony, soapy.
Maybe that's what it's like for me it's coming through as almost like a coconut.
Yeah. Well, there's a fat, like coconut oil kind of thing or something.
I don't know why that is, but for me, it's like I'm getting that, like a cream, or I don't know. It's hard to kind of describe. In my mind, I picture the coconut.
I will say that there's been very few things for me that the nose and the finish are so different.
True.
I mean, I'm still getting. There's a little bit more citrus in it now.
Yeah.
like a lemon peel.
Yeah, I was getting a little bit. I was getting a little bit of orange peel.
Yeah, something like that. But like the bitterness is still there.
Orange zest.
It's not quite as cocoa powder driven, but it's. I don't know. It's definitely a very, very unique mouthfeel whiskey that, again, go back a year and a half when we had a bunch of it. I'm not able to kind of draw in my mind a parallel. I just remember I enjoyed it that night. But again, that was a completely different batch. This smells delicious. It tastes really good. Not quite as delicious as it smells to me.
Although I don't know why, but I'm still getting some of this taste of coconut. I don't know why that is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not strong. It's just subtle.
It's missing just something on the finish. It just kind of dissipates on your tongue. So it just kind of, it's there. I taste some things and it just kind of instantly goes away. And I'm not getting like there's no backbone of a finish that I can go like, man, it finishes strong with whatever.
I get a creamy vanilla taste or smell on the nose. A creamy vanilla now.
Okay.
There's some creaminess about this, and I don't know, maybe that's why it's coming out coconut for me. But like raw coconut.
Yeah.
That's subtle. Which is weird because that you should probably find that in any.
Oh man, larceny. I got several people that now they also for me always get coconut in larceny, and now they can't undo it, right?
Yeah.
Larceny, you can put blindly in front of me with like 20 bourbons, and I feel like I can pick it out because I get coconut every time.
I mean, the smell is still fantastic.
Yeah.
I think you're right. It's like you smell it and you're thinking, oh my gosh, this is going to be amazing. And it's not that it's not good, or, it's just, the nose is not matching up with the taste, which is interesting.
Yeah. I still feel after this like a coating in my mouth. There's, you just throw a you do under your breath. I mean, it's going to come across. So, they know we're 8. So, but no, guys, this is, it's interesting for us. We like to kind of go back down. This is a live tasting for us as well. This is a memory lane for us of an amazing evening drinking some really good bourbon.
For sure.
This for you is something that we want to, again, challenge you to find things that I doubt if you are newer to bourbon the last couple of years, 3 years, and you continue to buy, like, hey, listen, we got some of you guys out there that have us source some things for you, and I know those you guys that are always looking for Weller and always looking for Blanton's and always looking for all the things, right? Yeah. You like your Michters, you like whatever, but it's hard to start going outside your profile and outside your comfort zone and spending $80, $90 for a bottle that in this case even comes from New York, and you're like, what? I don't know anything about New York whiskeys. One of the reasons that we want to make sure we're diversifying our pours is that so you can taste things that you should definitely be exploring. You should definitely try. Widow Jane, because of its small batch nature, you're rarely going to buy a bottle that tastes the same as the last bottle you had. You're getting a 10-year product of impeccable sourcing and impeccable quality that mixed with the New York mineral water and that limestone water. I mean, who knows? Like that might be one of the reasons that we're getting that kind of that creaminess. And the more we were to drink this, the more we might be able to make that kind of connection.
Well, and as they begin to produce more barrels and they start sourcing everything right there in New York, and really just creating it right there in that state, I think you may see a lot of different products coming out that are going to be really, really good.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of potential with this distiller. I will say the finish on this is a pretty soft, easy finish.
Yeah.
That you get a little warmness here, but it's not a strong bite. It's an easy drinker. But that finish is pretty cool.
And they only have a few products. They've got this 10-year. They have, what's the one they call, like, it's like Decadence or something.
Yeah.
Then they have
Well, 13.
13-year Lucky 13,
And I want to say
and a 14-year-old.
Yeah.
So they have a 13-year-old called Lucky 13, and they have a 14-year-old bourbon. But for the most
and a
part,
variety of others. I mean, they have rye, a full rye. And
yeah.
others.
But this is they don't have like this giant range of products, and
No.
they're all aged.
Yeah.
So it's again.
Well, everything was 9 years and above.
10.
10. Oh, it was 10.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Even the decadence and all that.
Oh, I don't know any details on decadence.
Okay.
The others are 13 and 14, and
Yeah.
but I think this is their main product, and it's all a 10-year plus. So
I mean, we prefer aged bourbons anyways, for the most part.
I think the Dow Creek was when we were talking everything's 9 years or older.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, I got that confused.
Yeah. So guys, enjoy your first pour from the state of New York. It's definitely it's worth your time and attention. Give it, like we tell you everything, man. You got 4 ounces. Drink 2 ounces slowly, because it's going to change a lot in your glass as the alcohol kind of evaporates a bit. Throw a cube in there for your second pour. See how it opens up for you. I can imagine, again, with already a creamy mouthfeel, you add an ice cube to it, it's gonna be drinking.
It's gonna go down very smooth.
Like milk,
yeah, it's gonna
like chocolate milk, like a little cocoa powder. And
you may need 2 bottles because you're gonna drink one in the night.
Yeah.
But this is one you should have in your collection. It's a unique bottle from another state, and if you're like us, really love the kind of Kentucky straight bourbon, this has a lot of similarities to those types of bourbons.
Yeah, and look, I think if nothing else, and you guys, as you do this more and more often, you're probably collecting some more and more bottles. Don't drink this, even if you love it. I don't recommend drinking the same thing all the time, because you'll get an actual fatigue in your palate, and your palate will really numb to only tasting and liking the one thing you have. And when anything else you drink doesn't taste like that, you're almost going to be like, I don't like it, as opposed to, hey, this is kind of fun to taste something different.
Yeah, try something new.
So make sure that you are exploring from every 2 to 3rd bottle something that you didn't have before, because and use our pours and this whole process for what you should go get, and maybe have the ones that you like. Earmark those ones that, hey, when I can see that bottle, I'm going to pick that one up. Because if you're not challenging your palate and having something different from time to time, you're going to realize that you're not growing, you're not learning, you're not kind of exploring.
Well, you're not developing a palate.
Yeah,
it's not evolving.
Yeah.
You're just kind of stuck with, one kind of whiskey or one kind of bourbon, and that's your go-to because you know how it tastes, and you're like, okay, that's a safe pick. But this is meant to be fun, and it's meant to be kind of an exploration into different kinds of varieties of whiskey, American whiskey, different styles. I mean, we're sending a lot of educational information regarding what everything means. From bottled and bond to, I mean, we recently had seen a bottle that talked about like this specialized like red corn. I can't remember the
red wheat.
Red wheat. It was red wheat.
There's a Czech red wheat.
A Czech red wheat, and it's like, okay, well, everything hits differently as they start to mix it all, and it's just interesting, especially if you like the tie-in with food and ingredients and putting things together. It's an interesting journey to go down, but we recommend Widow Jane for a variety of reasons. I know the price has been going up, but you can probably get it from anywhere from $70 to $90, depending on.
Yeah, 80, 90 bucks is like your middle of the road. You're not going to find it for 70.
If you find it for a great deal, though, buy it.
Yeah, I will say occasionally a store that offers, they might be having a sale, or like even like your Rayleigh's that will do like a 20% off, something like that.
Yeah.
You can sometimes find this marked off and get a steal.
Yeah.
So like you can always say that, but 70, 80 bucks is the right price.
And I think, I don't know, a couple months ago we did the McKenna.
Henry
McKenna 10-year.
Yep.
And for some reason, so Widow Jane 10 and the McKenna 10 have skyrocketed in price. Like those two, for whatever reason, and maybe it's just because they're 10-year. But I would recommend, picking up either one of those if you can get a deal on it, because I don't think it's ever going to come back down. Yeah, I don't think we're going to see, unfortunately, the whiskey world, the way that it's going right now, good bottles are going to be $100.
Yeah. Well, if you fast forward to when Widow Jane start producing all of your own product and juice is a lot more expensive than necessarily sourcing and blending. So the more and more that becomes a thing, the price of this is probably going to have to go up a little bit just to kind of keep their margins.
Unfortunate, but
that's truth, as you think about it. But get on the Widow Jane train now. Check it out and tell us what you think. If there's a bottle that you would like to try and you've never been able to, or you can't source it, let us know that you'd like us to add it to our future pours. But we hope you have a tremendous February. We hope that you have some great pours and share with us anything that you found. Tag us in your own Instagram or whatever else. Will tag us that it shows what you're drinking and what you're finding. Because we'd like to start some dialogue with you on that as well. So appreciate you guys. Have a wonderful evening.
Enjoy the Super Bowl. Sorry the Niners aren't in it.
Nobody expected them to be there.
But everybody did. But I just read a article the other day.
Is this about the Niners?
Top 5 quarterbacks in the league. And I was a little disappointed they had Joe Montana at number 4. But I do understand, looking at some of the history with Brady and Peyton Manning and Aaron Rodgers, but I do think that Montana would be ahead of Aaron Rodgers, but something for a discussion later. Why don't you guys go ahead and write something in the comments?
Listen, because you need to get this off your chest doesn't mean they have to hear it. So
I'm just pressing his buttons because he hates it when I call Joe Montana the GOAT.
Yeah, because he's not. So guys, you have a wonderful evening. Thank you so much. I'm going to kick him out now. And please enjoy. Take care of yourselves or each other and drink some great whiskey.
Cheers.